our friend Mr. Sudhakar Raja. He is a CEO of TRST. In fact, it's been 2 days I am interacting with him, and he has a very unique concept in which I am having a discussion. They are more like, he will be telling more about his startup or his initiative or his company, but the discussion which I had with them was something different. That if his company can create a platform, a tech-enabled platform, which can use AI and machine learning, which can identify the startups in India, and by using technology, if they can give some kind of a score to those startups on basis of productivity, certifications, compliances, or quality, so that the buyers in the other countries, they can see that the startup has this score. On that basis, the startup can approach to a buyer can approach to those startups and that can proceed to sales. So I would be requesting Dr. Sudhakar, if you can also, towards the end of this presentation, if you may also talk about this innovative idea which we were discussing, and if we can work together on it. Thank you. Presentation.
Oh yeah, got it. Hello everybody, thank you for joining me today, and thank you GlobalSpin. Thank you sir for a wonderful introduction, by the way. Thank you Dr. Lloyd for bringing us and presenting us here as well. Thank you very much both of you, appreciate it. So as sir was pointing out, we have a unique concept. It's called Trust Score. It's just like your CIBIL score or a credit score, except it's for employees basically. Basic idea is pretty simple, right? So this is the problem statement. This is an article that came in February 2022, basically, where employees are moonlighting, for example, as one of the problem statements that was given over there. Money Control talks about how employees are faking their receipts, committing fraud, and so on and so forth. This is just something that the newspapers came to know just about February, but we came to know about this long time actually, because I've been an entrepreneur and I've been faced with this very same issue myself. So the problem is even larger. $800 billion. That's what the problem statement is. $800 billion is lost because of employees' unethical behavior. 30% of companies go bankrupt because of unethical employees. So, and specifically the SMEs and MSMEs. If you're an entrepreneur, the chances of your company going bankrupt is 30% because of your employees. So think really hard about joining our platform. It's free. 50% of all, according to Randstad, 50% of all resumes are fake. To 30% of all degrees are fake. So this is the statistics from the industry, basically. We're trying to solve this problem. In the financial services vertical specifically, last year alone, 1,38,000 crores was lost because of unethical employees. SKS Microfinance went bankrupt because of unethical employees. I'm sure all this sounds very, very scary if you really think about it. But 54%, if you're in the IT industry, 54% of your candidates accept offers but don't join in the last minute. If you understand what I'm saying. So they accept the offer but don't join in the last minute. The guy says, sir, I have a notice period, and you call him up after 25th day and you find out whether he's joining, he doesn't join. This is causing a loss of close to 1 lakh rupees every time something like this happens, and it's happening 54% of the times, if you like. And this is besides the opportunity cost loss, if you like, right? So that's where we thought about coming back to Trust Score. We introduced Trust Score, where we're trying to solve these problems, if you like, right? So we provide you a score like this, which will allow you to hire employees based upon the score. So if it is anything less than 1,000, you literally are something to worry about. It helps you in your risk mitigation strategy. It helps you in making sure, hey, you know what, is this guy worth it or not? And that gives you risk mitigation strategy. We send, just to solve the problem of the 54% of employees accepting offer letters and not joining, we also provide you the capability to send those offer letters right from our platform. We also provide you background verification services as a component of the platform as well. So another problem that you all face with, so let's say for example, a guy is working for company A and he joins company B, Every time he has to go back to company A to find out, hey, did this guy really work for you? And the HR of that particular company is coming back and wasting their HR time on an employee who's left the organization. So they're answering a question about an employee who's left the organization. So let's say, for example, another example is an employee of yours will be taking a loan from a bank, for example, and that guy will ask you, sir, give me this certificate saying that he's literally working for you. You are wasting your HR time on an employee who is not doing any business with you. So that's another problem. Another challenge is every time an employee is leaving, you have to give them experience certificates, relieving letters, and so on and so forth. If he's committing a fraud, he's going to defraud you anyway. So what is the problem? So we're telling people, just check the trust score, that's about it. You don't have to do anything else. Another big challenge that the company is faced with, one, let's say for example, somebody stole something from you and he got a better job in another place for that matter. The other employees are also thinking that they can get away with it too. So one bad apple is creating multiple bad apples, which is going to cause a virus within your own systems if you think about it, right? So that's another big challenge. So let me just skip this slide. So we are also introducing something, I think this forum may be interesting because I see NFT and everybody else. We're introducing something called trust score for colleges as well. So what this means is to solve the problem of 30% and so on and so forth. We are also, because we anyway working with the HRs of so many colleges and so on and so forth, I mean companies and so on and so forth. We thought we'll also start it with colleges. So your degrees, your mark sheets, everything can be put together in the Trust Score platform. People can upload their resumes also over here. Since we're working with the industries, as I pointed out, the 50%, and their problem statement is right there. We're also allowing companies to hire from the platform as well. So what that means is, let's say the students upload their resume with and if the colleges upload certify the students, these companies can now hire them right from our platform. So that's going to be giving them access to these companies, which today, for example, they'll have to do through campus hires and so on and so forth, which today, for example, I'm living in Chennai. I want to hire somebody in NIFT over here, for example. It's not possible because ultimately I have to come back here for a campus interview and so on and so forth. What if the resumes are available right there? They can start hiring right from wherever they are. So that's the basic idea of what we're going to be providing as a component of the platform as well. So your data and privacy is protected, we're encrypted data, so you don't have to worry about all those things. We are a SaaS platform, so what that means is the data that belongs to you is yours and not ours. So it is not that, we encrypt all the data. Just to let you know, I was a former CTO of Shriram General Insurance. I've worked in the US with Oracle and KPMG in the US. So we've designed the software to ensure that, that there is a hardcore security that goes with it as well. So as I pointed out, we are like any other platform. Let's say you're using Zoho, Freshdesk, or any of those platforms. You entrust your HR data with them, and in a very similar fashion, you can entrust the data with us as well. So just to and we provide open APIs for integration into any of your systems for that matter. So just like think of this thing, this is like a LinkedIn profile, right? So the green tick mark will basically tell you that he actually worked there. The score tells you what he is doing. So you literally can make the judgment on whether to hire that person or not within 15 seconds instead of going through the entire process for that matter, right? So this is the way you send offer letters, and the companies are providing the data. We are not making this up. The scores are coming from the companies. If you are running a company for that matter, we expect you to be the person who is offering this data to us, and based upon which the score is given by our platform, if you like. So when employees perform some things, you tell us why you basically terminated him or anything else for that matter, and we basically provide a score based upon the input set. So as I pointed out, the advantages are you're going to reduce your wrong hires for 90%, absconding employees will reduce, your current employee behavior will become better, relieving letter certificates and fraud will come down dramatically, verification cost will come down dramatically. So these are all the cost advantages that you're going to derive right from get-go. So it's absolutely free. So it's free for 2 years. We are not charging anybody right now. We want to bring companies on board. We are a well-funded company. We have already raised our angel funding, and we are all on the way to raise our Series A as well. So more than happy to bring all of you on board absolutely free of cost. These are some of the top companies which are using the platform. This is pretty this thing, because we have just last week alone we have onboarded almost every day 2 companies. We've gotten nearly 15 NBFCs to come on board within our platform. We're close to about 100 companies already onboarded into the platform, if you like. So these are some of the people in within the companies. Mr. Satish Mehta is the founder and CEO of Sybil. You must have heard of, anybody who's taken a loan would know about Sybil. So he is part of my advisory board. Mr. Srinivas Acharya from Sundaram Finance was former managing director. Shriram Capital, Mr. Jasmine Gujaral, Professor Sridhar from NHRD, our investors, Mr. Girish Ramdas, and is also part of the advisory board, if you like. So that's about it. Happy to answer any questions. As I pointed out, it's absolutely free of cost for all of you to come on board and so on. So, yeah, please.
Yes, Dr. Nikam.
I have a question.
Sure.
From a technology perspective, and as we move towards Internet of Value, Web 3.0, are you looking at using blockchaining this so that it's available in a public platform, something of that sort?
So we also have a blockchain technology behind the scenes. It's called TrueCerti.com. Okay. So TrueCerti.com is our blockchain technology basically. So companies which are willing to pay, we provide it on blockchain.
All right, and you would be looking at with all the certificates coming from the university itself, and then building the block.
We don't even want the certificates. We just want the fact that they passed out. So what are we going to do with the certificate ultimately?
But somebody else would like.
Which anyway, for example, your what is that? The government of India is this thing is there where you can store the certificates for that matter.
So you would link that.
Yes. So what we are looking at mostly is the fact that today, for example, if I want to get a loan from somebody, today I can get a loan within 5 seconds flat.
Sure.
I look at his score, I can do this. Sure. If I provide you a certificate, I have to go there, do the verification. I want to be able to provide this an integrated platform into your HR systems. In 5 seconds, you should be able to make hiring decisions without going to some other place for that matter. So we want decisions to be able to happen at rocket speed instead of trying to make it into a process which is complicated for that matter. And not only that, what we are also trying to tell students for the matter is when they upload the resumes, now we use NLP and AI to convert those resumes into profiles which I showed you just now, like a LinkedIn profile of sort, which becomes searchable. So any company, let's say I'm looking for a specific technology, or let's say a guy who's able to who's got a specific skill set. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out a particular skill set that is available in the fashion technology for that matter. And if I search for his name, search for that skill set, I should be able to see all resumes which have that particular skill set. Right? So the students who have passed out, who have got that particular skill set, will all show up. They can start getting hired by the industry in 5 seconds time. Right? So that's the basic objective. We are providing something called a placement cell officer software, which will allow you to basically interact with the industry as well. So that's the beauty of that. So we are providing exclusively these kinds of things to bridge the gap between the industry and the colleges as well.
Who would like to see a demo of the product?
Sure. Absolutely.
What are the factors for this score? You are calculating the score of a person. On what are the factors?
So basically, I'll take the simplest example, right? So simplest, a guy accepts an offer letter, doesn't join you.
So
His
how
score
do
will
you know
come.
that I received the offer letter and I am not going to join?
Yeah.
I will give
Absconding
you
from employment, committing fraud. You basically, the employer reports this to us.
Employer.
So the employer.
So
if you are an employer, you will report it to us, and based upon which we will do the scoring.
Okay. So many cases, what I have found that employer also giving, because of the employer having employees who are providing information. So they are also doing that kind of frauds. Regarding employee.
I'm sorry, sir, one more time.
So many times, see, employer providing you information, and there is a person who is giving you information regarding an employee. Okay, he may have some kind of issues with that employee.
We don't
and he
take
can give you the wrong information about that. So what is the basically things are there?
Sure. Got it. So there are two things that you should realize. I am number one. We do not take performance appraisal as a component of scoring.
Yeah.
So most of the times a person can only say something bad about his performance for that matter. So scoring, performance and appraisal does not come as a component of the scoring at all, number one. Number two, we are no different from the current process. For example, let's say I'm working for KPMG and I'm joining Accenture as an example. Accenture will do a background verification. Accenture will call up the HR, or rather there will be a background verification company which will call the HR of the KPMG and ask them, hey, did this person XYZ work for you? And that person is basically giving a report. Today what we are doing is we are automating this process, right? So if a guy is going to give something bad, that same process exists even today. But 99.9% of the times, it will not happen, right? Because most of the times this is all automated, and everybody knows why they're bidding. Basically, unless you terminate the employee within your HR systems, it is not about individuals anymore. Your HR systems will have to press on terminate and then provide it to me as a backend. That is when it basically kicks off. So there is no individual person who can do that ultimately, for that matter.
It all the things is voluntarily employee providing the information. This is a volunteer.
The employer chooses to do this, not the employee.
Yeah. So employee means they are providing information to the
The
volunteer.
employer will provide the information to us voluntarily.
There is no other motivating force are there.
No.
You just showed one slide which showed the LinkedIn profile of one person, which was an employee.
It's not a LinkedIn profile, it is our profile. The way it appears in our own systems, basically. So the green, think of it, I mean, it looks like a LinkedIn profile. I just gave that as an example. So in this particular case, this is how our screens look like. So score will be right there for people to check. And then the green tick mark, because the company has provided the data, right? So think of your LinkedIn profile having that green tick mark, right? It's like a Twitter verified or a Facebook verified profile, right? So your education will have a green tick mark. Let's say NFT gave the data to us, for example. Your education will have that.
Your system, not in any other social
No, it will not. This is just a purely a Trustco platform. So that's about it. So we want companies to use this platform like a verification system of a nature, if you like. Because just before you're hiring, just make sure the person you are hiring is a trustworthy person. And you can use a risk mitigation strategy. So let's say, for example, he's absconded from work last time, for example, right? So you want to make sure, do you want to hire this guy who's absconded from employment? You can at least do a risk mitigation strategy. It's like giving a loan. Score is given to you as a guide. It's not a rule, right? So whether you want to give a loan to that fellow, even if he has a bad score, it's still up to them. But we are only providing a risk mitigation strategy for that matter.
Thanks.
Hello, sir. It's a very new concept. You are explaining in a very nice way, and I would like to just ask whether your certification is recognized by any organization, like we say private sector or government sector.
So this is industry. Then we are building a community. Let's put it differently. It is companies for companies by companies. Right? So that is what we are, or if you want to call it by colleges, for employers, however you determine where this cross section would be. So here we are talking about a company A giving data and company B taking using that information. So for example, let's say a guy has done something bad, they're able to do the background verification in a better way for them to do the risk mitigation. So there is no government involvement in this. This is a private organization. We are a venture funded company.
I have one question. As you mentioned, that this data will be provided to you by the employer.
Correct.
Now, in case the employee comes to know that his data is being shared without his, his understanding.
So when you sign there are two things that will happen here. Number one, let's say you put it in Zoho as an example. You don't get your consent of somebody else for that matter. Number one. Let's say you're doing a payroll, for example, in Zoho or any of those systems for that matter. You don't take your employees' concurrence, number one. Number two, when you're doing your pre-verification checks, you're anyway going to be asking for background verification that is going to be done and shared with other people. Is a consent letter you would anyway take when you are employing that person. So that gives you the ability for you to do this without any problems.
Okay, thank you.
The biasness of employer can affect somebody's career also. So how you will overcome with those situations?
Those are left to the courts of law and labor courts for them to deal with. Already employers are already faced with a huge labor problem in terms of compliances that the labor ministry is asking you to do, which is already tough on the employers for that matter. So in reality, I feel bad for the employers rather than for the employees. And we are the ones putting the money to do the business, and in case we are incurring a loss, the amount of money amount of losses that we are incurring is $800 billion. That's equal to another economy, a parallel economy if you think about it, right? We could fund Ethiopia.
Sir, sorry. I would like to ask one more question, if you allow.
Yeah, please. Sorry, I'm looking for who's
All
the person.
sir.
Okay, okay.
Sir, schools and colleges and university are already certified the students, and they are giving marks in different criteria. So how your marks or your scores is more more justified with organization scores?
Today we are not doing any certifications for that matter. Let's put it differently. We are not a certifying body. Let's make that absolutely clear, right? What we are is nothing but, let's say you passed a degree. The college is telling me that you passed a degree and you got this GPA, right? So now I don't have to verify your certificate anymore because the college themselves have given it to you. Right? So I don't have to go there and ask you give me your certificate. I want to, because let's say for example, you made a lovely certificate on your own, which is what is happening. If you look at it, 30% of all degrees are fake. That is what the problem is today, right? So all these problems you don't have to worry about because companies are incurring, just to let you know, companies are incurring, if I want to do a background verification and a certificate, I have to pay 2,000 rupees in order to verify that certificate is a valid certificate or not today. So we are trying to remove this burden of proof or spending this amount of money on doing something as simple as this. And also, sir also wanted me to talk about the integration with. We are also trying to work with with banks and NBFCs and so on and so forth, in order for us to basically also help companies to get funding. So that is the next component of what we are going to be working with, sir. We are going to be coming out with ways and means of certifying or giving a score to each of these companies, so that they will be able to adequately reach their funding goals as well. So that is something that we are going to be working with, sir, as we go along. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Now, thank you so much, sir. Now I would